It wasn't the first time I found myself thinking of Gloria as I sorted through the files in my cramped home office. I could see her face, framed by the soft glow of the dim desk lamp, recalling a moment from years ago. The last time we shared the same space, she wore that navy blue suit, the same one I'd grown fond of. The day was a swirling fog of panic, betrayal, and uncertainty. The day our firm collapsed under the weight of financial scandal. Now, sitting alone with my coffee and the fading memories, I wondered if she realized the extent to which our lives were intertwined, not just as colleagues but as two souls navigating a world of fractured loyalties. I hadn't seen her in over a decade, not since that chaotic farewell when we chose professional silence over fleshed-out sentiments. When I received the invitation to Phil's memorial, my heart sank. It felt surreal to attend an event dedicated to someone who had been part of that turbulent chapter in my life. He was a good man, dedicated, and with a surprising knack for keeping his ego in check, traits this industry often trampled. My limbic system hesitated, but I recognized the undeniable pull to reconnect with the people who once inhabited my world. Perhaps more so, I longed to see Gloria again. The funeral hall was filled with familiar faces, each beholding their demure sorrow, and yet, there was a heaviness to the air, like pressing damp sand between my fingers. That's when I saw her, the glimmer of her dark hair against the backdrop of muffled conversations and supportive embraces. It was as if the years peeled away in that moment, leaving only a bond tainted by shared history and unspoken words. "Jack?" she said, her voice tinged with surprise. "I can't believe you made it. Wouldn't miss it for the world," I replied, feeling warmth ripple through the ice that had encapsulated my heart for so long. We exchanged pleasantries, but beneath the surface, unacknowledged emotions loomed. Conversations flowed cautiously, threading through forays into old memories, shared laughter, awkward silences, and stolen glances from those early years at the firm. They were delicate, like the butterfly wings each of us wore too long. "Do you still count beans?" she asked, a playful lilt returning, the one that had originally drawn me to her. I chuckled. "I do, but now I also market them. Might as well put my stock in something beyond numbers." We shared a smile, small but significant, an emotional bridge being tentatively rebuilt. As the memorial progressed, I left with an unsettling feeling lingering in my gut. Could it be possible that after all these years, the connection had simply been waiting to be reignited? Gloria texted me that night, a tentative message that read, "Dinner tomorrow?" I hesitated, tossing around my fears and regrets. There had been so many mistakes, so many moments when I stiffened instead of reached out. Still, I wanted to see her again. Dinner commenced at a quaint Italian restaurant that time seemed to have overlooked. The warm atmosphere was a ghost of our past, and again, the silence was heavy, brimming with the things we had left unsaid. But slowly, we eased into comfortable exchanges, discussing our children, our late spouses, and the scars we both bore from the lives we had lived. As nostalgia settled like a blanket over us, I realized she had been the steadfast star in my nebula of regrets. Talk turned to the collapse of our firm, the designs of betrayal that had ultimately stripped us of our lives' ambitions. Yet here we were rebuilding. Her laughter mingling with my blunt humor felt like evidence that life could indeed start anew. In that moment, amidst plates of pasta and glasses of wine, I saw a path paved not with the fresh soil of hope but hardened by shared ruin. Our pasts would always cast their shadows, yet the weight of history felt lighter in each other's company. As I gazed across the table into her eyes, I understood something profound. Perhaps love could blossom in the remnants of what once had been. Life ebbs and flows, marked in chapters much like this one, where mistakes fade, and the dawning light reveals unimagined possibilities. So, perhaps, starting anew was not so terrifying, after all. Days turned into weeks, and our meetings began to form an easy rhythm. Evenings spent in each other's company felt like revisiting a familiar novel, one where we could skip the pages of tragedy and leap straight into chapters of redemption. I had forgotten the rhythm of laughter and lightness between two people bound by history, like notes in a shared symphony that had laid dormant for too long. We wandered through late-night conversations peppered with stories of our children, their successes and struggles. We found solace in the realization that while the terrain of our lives had shifted, parental love bore the same texture. Gloria's eyes sparkled when she spoke of her son, now entered into college, a brilliant young man, just like she'd always hoped he would become. And through her stories, I glimpsed a flicker of the young woman I once knew, vibrant and full of dreams, despite the gray hairs that lingered around her temples and the lines that danced around her eyes. But with our shared joy, a shadow still lingered. My cautious heart worried that my interest might be misconstrued. I sensed a wall shielding her, edges softened but undeniably present. "You've been hurt," I observed one evening as we perused the menu, my voice barely a whisper. "Like we all have," she answered, her gaze steady but her breath hesitant. "This world, Jack, it's beautiful and terrifying, an intricate web of joy and pain." "I know," I replied, my heart squeezing at the heavy truths she laid bare. "But sometimes, what we choose to build can outweigh the ruins we tread upon." Our fingertips grazed as we reached for the water pitcher, and the electric spark fired through me. In that moment, I wished we could peel back the layers, the history of loss and betrayal, that kept us as mere acquaintances, no matter how much our souls recognized their connection. One evening, I received a call from a familiar yet unwelcome voice, one I had hoped to escape entirely. It was Tom, the former partner who had orchestrated the financial scandal that had sent shockwaves rippling through my life and the lives of so many others. The tension in my chest tightened as I braced myself for the conversation. "Jack, we need to talk," was all he said, laden with an expectation that turned my stomach. The invitation to meet felt more like an order, but an unsettling curiosity compelled me forward. I thought of Gloria and our shared understanding, the heavy burdens we bore, and the craving to maintain some semblance of dignity amidst the wreckage. Reluctantly, I agreed to meet at a dimly lit bar, a far cry from the warmth of the evenings with Gloria. Tom had aged poorly, lines etched upon a face that was once so full of ambition and malice. But his presence still exuded an indignant charm. He began to speak of opportunities since that dark time, dismissing the wreckage of our lives like it never mattered. "Things have changed, Jack. It's not like that anymore, think of the future," he said, sensing my tension. "No, Tom," I interrupted, my voice surprisingly firm. "The future is shaped by the consequences of our actions. You destroyed lives, and you'll always carry that weight." As the words hung between us, I felt the echoes of those fraught days flash through me, but I regained control. It wasn't for Tom to set the course for my life anymore. It was my choice to redefine myself. When I left that bar, it was with a clearer understanding of what had been lost, and what could still be rebuilt, stronger and wiser. The next evening, I stood outside Gloria's favorite cafe, tension knotting my stomach. The weight of my confrontation with Tom still lingered, and yet, I felt an irresistible urge to seek solace in her laughter once more. As I stepped inside, my eyes skimming through the crowds, I finally spotted her, sipping her coffee and gazing out the window, a soft smile touching her lips as she noticed my arrival. "Did you get lost?" she teased, her playful tone anchoring me. "Just lost in thought," I replied, sliding into the seat across from her, my heart racing in anticipation. "About what?" she inquired studiously, her emerald eyes piercing through my facade. "About us, about choices, both past and present," I confessed, willing vulnerability to spill from my lips like a lingering secret. "About the possibility of creating something beautiful from our shared experiences." And as I spoke, I witnessed something shift within her, an inclination as the flicker of hope ignited in our shared space. The years had taught us resilience, and while both of us were no strangers to loss, we began to find comfort in each other's company, a new understanding building not from the ashes of what life had dealt us, but from the delicate threads of hope that beckoned us toward a shared future. In that moment, I recognized the transformative power of connection. Perhaps it was never too late to start anew. Together, we wouldn't merely bear the weight of shared ruin, we'd build something extraordinary from it, courageously, hand in hand. The journey woven through these memories wouldn't end here. In the brightness breaking through our previously dark paths, I smiled at the grace of beginnings that could rise from endings, grateful to have found Gloria again, not just as part of my past, but as a radiant possibility for my future. And so, with cautious optimism, we stepped out into the world, ready to create our own narrative from the shared ruin, a love that blossomed amidst the remnants, forged through trials, and grounded in authentic emotion. The weeks that followed were an intricate tapestry woven with delicate threads of laughter, hope, and healing. Gloria and I continued to meet regularly, stitching our lives back together with each conversation. It felt as if we were taking long, measured steps into an uncharted world, together, both embracing the light of a fresh start and respecting the shadows left by our past. One sun-soaked afternoon, as we strolled through downtown, our arms brushing against each other, the city felt strangely alive, buzzing with possibility. We stopped to admire a street artist painting a vibrant mural, every stroke bursting with colors that seemed to pulse with an urgent heartbeat. "This," I said, pointing at the mural, "is like us. A masterpiece painted from our shared ruin. Conflicted strokes blending into something beautiful." Gloria's laughter rang out, bright and carefree. "You always were a poet, Jack," she replied, her eyes twinkling. "Words have always been your paints." As we continued walking, the conversation flowed easily. She shared tales of spontaneous beach trips with her son, while I revealed how I had taken up gardening, a hobby I had never imagined relishing before. It was during these moments that I realized neither of us was rushing towards something unattainable. A slow warmth blossomed between us, built not on the urgency of new love but on the foundation of familiarity. Shared meals transformed into shared lives, and tentative heartbeats became well-tuned rhythms. Yet, as we stood on the precipice of something more, I still felt the weight of questions hanging in the air, lingering like the final notes of a beautiful melody. But just as I gathered the courage to venture deeper into our feelings, my phone buzzed violently in my pocket, like a siren ushering in a sudden storm. It was a message from Tom. "Jack, we need to talk. This is urgent. Call me." A chill crept up my spine. The ease that had enveloped Gloria and me dissipated like mist. What could he possibly want? He had woken the ghosts of my past, ready to haunt me again. My mind raced back to the frailty of my carefully reconstructed life, fragile like a porcelain doll placed on the edge of a table. I glanced at Gloria, who had sensed my unease. "Is everything okay?" "No," I admitted, my voice low. "It's Tom. I think he may be about to strike again after all this time." The concern etched in her features echoed my own. "Whatever it is, remember that you don't have to face it alone." In that moment, I realized how far our connection had come. She wasn't just a kindred spirit in the ruins of the past. She was now my partner, standing firm in the face of whatever turmoil awaited me. Feeling a steadiness in her bravery, I finally dialed Tom's number, the anticipation hitched tight in my throat. "Jack." His voice was slick like oil, relishing this encounter. "I found something that concerns you, information about the scandal. You might want to discuss it in person." "Tom, I'm not interested in salvaging anything from you," I replied, my back straightening with conviction. But he persisted. "You should be. It's about your precious Gloria." The threat simmered in his words, and rage surged within me. "Leave her out of this. She has nothing to do with your past nonsense," I shouted, feeling the panic of old wounds clawing at me viciously. "That's where you're wrong, Jack. The past has a way of catching up with us." As I hung up and faced Gloria, the warmth of our budding connection felt like ice. "What is it, Jack? What did he say?" There was no hiding, no avoiding the reality that loomed over us. I had to protect what we were building, even if it meant exposing her to the rain from the storm I had tried to escape. "Tom mentioned you. He's up to something, and I won't let him ruin this for us." Her expression clouded. "You need to let me in, Jack. I can handle whatever it is, we'll face it together." Silence enveloped us, and in her gaze I saw the reflection of my own fears, but also a flicker of fierce determination. That night, we sat together holding hands across my kitchen table, the etched lines of our faces bearing the weight of shared fears. The dynamic of the past tried to worm its way between us, but Gloria and I fortified ourselves against it, our hands a silent vow. "You want to know how many times I've been afraid?" she began, her voice steady. I lost my husband, Jack. I stepped into the abyss, and yet I learned I could find my way back. If I can do that, I can handle anything this scoundrel throws our way. Together. The resolve in her voice anchored me, grounding me in a newfound belief, one that hadn't existed in the ruins of betrayal. I began to see the strength she cultivated from her struggles, and it inspired me to confront my own past. I refused to let Tom haunt the possibilities of us, I replied, squeezing her hand. With you, I'm ready to face whatever comes next, every piece of that history that circles like a vulture waiting to pick apart our new beginnings. In that moment of clarity, I sensed that love was not simply born from escape. Instead, it was blossoming here in the unyielding trust we'd developed. Together, we stepped away from the shadows of our past, forging a path illuminated by shared strength. And as dawn broke over the horizon the next morning, I envisioned a future not painted in the broad strokes of fear, but in the delicate brushwork of resilience and love. Our lives had connected in unexpected ways, a shared ruin bustling with profound hope. So, with hearts open wider than before, Gloria and I embarked on this shared journey. A battle-tested love was on the horizon, and together, we were determined to rewrite our histories into a narrative of victory, persistence, and unyielding affection, crafted from the very ashes of our turbulent pasts. In the days that followed our confrontation with Tom, an uneasy silence enveloped my life. Gloria and I leaned on each other as we navigated the intricacies of our shared past, but unease tightened its grip around my heart. I couldn't shake the feeling that Tom was biding his time, waiting for the right moment to strike. Anticipating his next move kept me on high alert, but the presence of Gloria alleviated the pressure in my mind. When we were together, there were no shadows cast by old betrayals, only shared laughter and the joys of recent memories. Yet, I couldn't ignore how tumultuous and precarious our journey felt, marked by the ghosts of what had come before. One evening, as we settled together in my living room, the comforting glow of candles danced around us, casting patterns on the walls. Jack, she began tentatively, her fingers entwined with mine. You know I want to hear everything. You don't have to protect me. Whatever Tom plans, I'm here. Her gaze met mine with an intensity that melted away my inhibitions. I didn't want to burden you with the weight of my past, not after everything we've shared, I admitted, the truth pouring out in a whisper. But I've realized that I can't shield you from it without risking our connection. She nodded, her expression a blend of concern and resolve. I refuse to be the fragile thing on the shelf, Jack. I want to fight for what we're building. Emboldened by her declaration, I took a deep breath. Then we have to confront Tom. If he has something to say or prove, we face it together, head on. No more hiding. This idea sparked a solidarity between us, encouraging me to address the growing darkness that loomed on the periphery of our shared happiness. I could sense the history we were forging, an intricate tapestry woven from resilience, strength, and vulnerability. It was time to confront the final threads of our pasts, together. The following week was fraught with anticipation. Gloria and I jointly decided to meet Tom in a public place, a neutral territory wrapped in the familiarity of the past but shielded by the warmth of present intentions. We chose a local cafe, dimly lit yet vibrant, bustling with conversations and laughter that worked to uplift the oppressive tension that awaited us. As we sat together at a corner table, my hand clasped in Gloria's, the door swung open, and Tom entered. He took a moment to scan the room, then ambled over with that smug confidence I remembered all too well. Under normal circumstances, his mere presence would have sent ripples of anxiety coursing through me, but today, alongside Gloria's steady strength, I felt anchored like a ship in stormy seas. Jack, Gloria, he greeted, a feigned warmth curling his lips. What an unexpected surprise. What do you want, Tom? I cut straight to the point, my voice unwavering. He smiled, though his eyes held not a hint of sincerity. I think we should clear the air. There are matters left unresolved, and I've come to offer you a chance to make things right. Gloria leaned forward, ready to pounce at any slight indication of manipulation from him. Tom, we're not interested in your half-hearted offers. We know well the consequences of your past actions. Past actions? he dismissed, waving his hand as though brushing aside fallacies. You're missing the point. I'm not asking for forgiveness, I'm offering insight. You both deserve to know the full story behind the scandal, who really pulled the strings. Those words hung in the air like a heavy fog. Tom sensed our growing unease and continued to pull at the threads of my past, and I couldn't help but wonder whether my decision to confront him had been wise at all. Yet as I glanced at Gloria, her unwavering gaze urged clarity within me. What do you mean by who really pulled the strings? I asked, my heart pounding. Tom leaned back in his chair, a biting satisfaction crossing his features. You might be surprised to learn that not everything is as simple as betrayal, Jack. There were secrets, high-stakes deals, people playing against each other. You were a pawn, caught in a game none of us fully understood. And just like that, one puzzle piece fell into place, shattering the facade of understanding I had clung to during our past years at the firm. Then you admit that I wasn't the only one to fall victim, right? I pressed, emboldened by the righteous fury that had simmered beneath the surface. Victim or not, you were still complicit, he answered, the smugness returning in waves. And so was she. Tom's voice sliced through the air, and the terror I had sought to dismantle breached the barrier I had strove to build around Gloria and me. What do you mean by that? Gloria's voice wavered, her grip tightening on my hand, searching for answers amid the chaos. The tension in the cafe escalated as Tom embarked on a calculated tirade against us. Each word fashioned to invoke guilt, shame, and nostalgia, driving wedges that threatened to resurrect the ghosts of betrayal and mistrust. But as I glanced at Gloria, I realized that the time for fear had passed. We leaned on each other like the structures we were beginning to build anew. Enough, Tom. You're wrong, I declared firmly, feeling empowered by a collective spirit I had rarely known. You controlled the narrative before, but no longer. We refuse to play your game. Gloria stepped into the space I had opened, her voice carrying strength that resonated through my core. Our decisions may have brought us here, but they don't define who we are today. We've faced loss and heartbreak. We are not victims anymore. We are survivors rising from the ashes. Tom's expression shifted, disbelief blooming on his face. The duo we formed, two wounded souls seeking hope, began manifesting undeniable power in the face of his manipulation. Realization set in. Love and trust, born from the crumbling walls around us, had made us fierce against the shadows that lurked in our past. Keep your shadows, Tom, I responded flatly, my voice even. We choose to walk in the light. And with that, we stormed out, helicopter blades swirling overhead, lifting us away from the chaos and confusion, toward a future marked by promise rather than regret. Through waves of hope and resilience, we embraced our destinies, together writing a new narrative built on the spoils of heartbreak intertwined with encouraging strength. As we stepped onto the pavement, Gloria entwined her fingers with mine. We survived. Yes, we did, I responded, beaming with gratitude as we faced the horizon, a world fresh and alive with endless possibilities. Together, we would continue transforming our shared ruin into an extraordinary love, for we were sculptors of our destinies, forever embodying the tenacity to rise again and again. In the wake of our confrontation with Tom, the impact of our actions settled around us like a beautiful yet fragile tapestry. What we had dared to claim, our resilience, our right to redefine our narratives, we began to feel the echoes within the wider world. Friends from our past, the remnants of those complicated years at the firm, began reaching out in supportive ways, reminding us that scars often come with stories. One afternoon, as Gloria and I walked through the local park, the colors of fall painting a breathtaking backdrop, I couldn't help but feel buoyed by the gentle admiration of strangers. It seemed that every breeze whispered of hope and second chances. Jack, Gloria said suddenly, her happiness dimming momentarily. What now? After everything with Tom, do we allow the specter of our past to linger indefinitely? I paused, taking in her concern as autumn leaves rustled around us. That's the trick, isn't it? To not live in the shadow but rather embrace what we both want, for the future to blossom with intention. Sometimes I worry, she confessed, that the conversation with Tom was just a catalyst for something darker to emerge. What if he tries to ensnare us again? What if those whispers become a chorus that churns all the memories we're trying to leave behind? In her gaze, I saw my own apprehensions echoed back, widespread, unanswered questions, waiting for reassurance. "Gloria," I replied, my tone steady. "He can't hurt us anymore unless we allow him to. We have power over our choices. Each decision resonates louder than his past actions. We've built a solid foundation on authenticity and love." And with that, I sensed a weight lift from her shoulders as they relaxed under the soft sun. "Let's focus on creating memories that drown out those echoes. We have each other, Jack, and that proves powerful." Together, we ventured to new spaces, art galleries, intimate theaters, and elegant little cafes, every destination a vivid brushstroke coloring our shared canvas. Hand in hand, we harnessed laughter, sprinkled with stolen moments of vulnerability, sketching a relationship unexpectedly vibrant against the dusty hues of our respective pasts. As the weeks progressed, we maintained our new routine, embracing the energy of life stirring around us. Yet Tom loomed like a specter on the rim of our contentment, a constant reminder of tumultuous times. Just as Gloria and I began to accept this carefully constructed sanctuary, reality threw an unexpected curveball our way. One rainy evening, I received another message from Tom, a simple, curt text. "Meet me. Urgent." My heart raced as I shared it with Gloria, who looked at me with equal parts concern and determination. "We can't keep running. Maybe it's time to face him again, this time not as adversaries but as partners standing firm." Nervously, I agreed, recognizing that this confrontation would demand every ounce of the strength we had cultivated together. As the meeting approached, Gloria and I spent time discussing boundaries and our expectations. "This time," she declared fiercely, "we know who we are, Jack, and we're not going to be swayed by his manipulation." A sense of exhilaration coursed through me, fueled by the anticipation of standing alongside her in our truths. Together we were a force, one that had weathered life's storms and emerged not just intact, but stronger and more alive. The chosen cafe exuded an uninviting chill. Tom arrived, clad in the same veneer of confidence, but this time I felt ready to match it with our shared resolve. "Jack, Gloria," he greeted with an air of fabricated civility, as though welcoming us into his game once again. This time, however, we refused to play. "What do you want, Tom?" I asked bluntly, refusing to dance around the disquiet that still clung between us. He leaned back, the smug look resurfacing. "Consider this an olive branch, a chance to revisit our shared history without the animosity." Gloria interjected. "We're not interested in revisiting anything with you, Tom. You've lost your chance." His facade cracked briefly, revealing anger seeping through. "Most people wouldn't be so quick to cut ties, especially considering the secrets I hold about you, Jack. Secrets that could change everything." The danger within his words hung in the air like a storm cloud, but I would not be cowed. "Whatever you hold will not unearth the past we fought so hard to overcome. Our lives don't belong to you anymore." Gloria placed a hand on my arm, a calm grounding presence. "You can't threaten us with information you think gives you power. We've chosen to rebuild, stronger, united." As this belief flashed across Tom's face, a wave of understanding washed over me. I realized there was nothing left to recover from him, nothing of value. Every ounce of pain and regret he tried to wield against us lost its potency, rendered powerless against the fiery truth of resilience. Tom sat, momentarily struck silent by the insistence of our unity. In that charged moment, a profound sense of liberation radiated in the space between us. Finally, I felt ready to make my move. "We're done here. We're moving forward. And remember this, Tom, we have our lives in our hands, and together, we'll craft our story without your interference." And with that, hand in hand, we walked from that cafe, feeling the weight of the past dissolve as a fresh chapter unfolded. Resilience flowed through us, not as a shield against adversity, but as a lighthouse guiding us toward the love we resided in, sustainable, whole, unapologetically ours. As we stepped into the crisp evening air, I turned to Gloria and whispered, "Together, we'll defy the odds." Her bright smile affirmed that our journey was just beginning, a shared path leading us into a tomorrow steeped in hope, discovery, and love born from a shared ruin. Thus, our story became not just one of survival but an unyielding testament to the beauty of resilience, woven through the threads of our intertwined lives. Together, we would dance into the future, not as victims of our past but as architects of our destiny, hand in hand, no longer bound by fear, but forever united by love. As the days slipped by, an unhurried rhythm snaked its way into our lives. The cafe meeting lingered in my mind, but there was a quiet comfort in the air now, a newfound promise. Gloria and I moved through our days with a shared sense of purpose, cultivating moments that mattered. I often found myself daydreaming about what lay ahead, relishing the thought of how our story could evolve. One sunny afternoon, Gloria and I decided to visit a botanical garden nearby. I watched as she wandered among the flowers, tracing her fingers over vibrant blossoms as if absorbing their colors directly into her spirit. "This place feels alive, doesn't it?" she smiled, glancing back to meet my eyes. "It feels like a canvas waiting for us to paint our future," I replied, stepping closer, allowing her hand to slide into mine effortlessly. Just then, a guide strolled by, offering a tour of the garden. As she spoke of healing plants and the meanings behind each bloom, I felt my heart swell with hope for our own healing journey, a narrative stitched together by resilience and shared dreams. Later, we found a secluded bench where we sat side by side under the shade of a willow tree, its tendrils swaying gently in the breeze. "Gloria," I began, the words tumbling out with unexpected urgency. "Do you ever think about taking that leap into something new? Like traveling, maybe? Just you and me?" Her eyes lit up with intrigue, as if I had whispered a spell to awaken hidden desires. "I would love that, Jack. The idea of traveling somewhere beautiful, just us, exploring together, it sounds perfect." A grin tugged at my lips as I envisioned countless adventures. "How about we start with a weekend getaway to the coast? We could breathe in the sea air and enjoy." Your story beautifully illustrates the power of prediction and surprise through the shifting dynamics between Jack, Gloria, and Tom. The initial comfort followed by Tom's sudden calls creates tension, activating the reader's reward system as they anticipate the outcome. The emotional resonance is strong, particularly in the descriptions of Jack and Gloria's shared pain and their rebuilding of trust. Readers can easily empathize with their journey. The constant threat of Tom provides narrative tension and uncertainty, keeping the reader focused on what will happen next. You also use temporal pacing effectively, moving between reflective moments and intense confrontations. The themes of rebuilding and resilience offer personal relevance, allowing readers to connect with universal experiences of overcoming adversity. Your use of sensory detail and imagery, e.g., swirling fog of panic, glimmer of her dark hair, uninviting chill, enhances the reader's immersion. The complex dynamic with Tom and the shared past between Jack and Gloria provides character complexity, stimulating curiosity. Finally, the repetition with variation of the idea of shared ruin, transforming into something beautiful, reinforces the core theme of resilience. What do you think is the most compelling aspect of Jack and Gloria's connection?